Alright, this video is for you to refresh your memory on how to conjugate regular verbs in Espanol. Alright, so hopefully you remember from Spanish 1 that all verbs in Spanish end in either AR, IR, or ER. Okay, all verbs in Spanish end in either AR, IR, ER. So you have the PDF document that gives you verb endings, but I wanted to do this video so that way you could see how verbs are conjugated. For those of you it's been a while and you need a refresher. So an example of an AR verb might be bailar. Alright, bailar meaning to dance. Alright, so when you see it in this form, it's called in its infinitive form. In other words, it has not been changed yet to fit any subject. Bailar meaning to dance, a regular AR verb, so it's going to follow a pattern. Hopefully you guys remember that when you're conjugating verbs, we do that to fit the subject. So you have your subject pronouns yo, tú, él, ella, and usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes. And if you're unfamiliar with subject pronouns, the ones that I just wrote down, please make sure that you go back and review that section as well. That's going to be in your resources from Spanish 1. Alright, so to conjugate these verbs, what you need to do is you need to be able to separate the verbs. The verbs in Spanish have two parts. They have their stem and they have their ending. So this ending, AR, is what's going to get dropped in order to be able to conjugate the verb. Alright, so once you've dropped the verb, you're left with the stem. Alright, you're left with the stem. And verb conjugation from there is pretty simple when it comes to AR verbs. You're just going to give it the ending to fit the subject. So in the yo form, it would be yo, and you would have o is the ending. So it's yo bailo. Tú, you have that stem, and you would add the tu ending, bailas. Él or ella baila. Nosotros sorry, that is an I. Apologize for my chicken scratch. Nosotros, you have your stem, add the AR ending, it would be bailamos. Vosotros bailáis. Y ellos bailan. Alright, so the endings for the Spanish verbs are o, as, a, amos, ais, an. So for any AR verb, you could essentially follow this pattern. You drop the AR, add the correct ending to fit the subject. Yo bailo means I dance. Tú bailas, you dance. Él baila, he or she, or the formal you dance. One thing that I do want to point out is that when you're conjugating verbs in this manner, just remember that this chart is created to be helpful. So on the left side here, this is what we call the singular column. And on the right side here, this is the plural column. Alright, and it's meant to be used so that way you can understand points of view. So when you are writing, you know, we often say that we speak in first person, I, when you're talking about yourself, second person, when you're talking to someone, and third person when you're talking about someone. So one thing I wanted to point out is that you have first person singular, I. Okay, if you are in the conversation, but it's more than one person, so you're saying Jenny and I, that would be nosotros, right? That's plural. If I'm talking directly to you, I would say, hey, you dance. But if it's you and someone else, and I'm talking directly to you guys, you would use vosotros. Now, vosotros, guys, make sure you note, is used in España. All right, so while it does mean you all, you're not going to hear native speakers in this area use the vosotros form. what you're going to hear them use is ustedes. All right, both of these subject pronouns mean you all. All right, so in España, you would hear vosotros, you all. And in Latin America, you're going to hear many of your native speakers use ustedes. All right, so that is singular or second person plural. Both of these are second person plural. I want you to note that both usted, that is second person plural, and ustedes, both of these are direct conversations to individual. If I'm using usted, I'm talking directly to that person. They're in front of me, they're standing right beside me, and they can hear me addressing them. Ustedes is the same thing. But for both of these subject pronouns, they fall in third person. So sometimes that can be a little confusing for somebody, but that's just for conjugation purposes. You're still speaking in second person. Okay? And then you have third person plural, which is going to be ellos, ellas, ustedes. All right. And if you're confused about subject pronouns, again, please make sure that you go back and you review that section. All right. So ER verbs and IR verbs. All right. When you're conjugating an ER verb and IR verb, ER verbs and IR verbs are oftentimes in Spanish 1 taught together because they conjugate so similar. Okay. When you're conjugating these, you can create the chart just like I did with the AR chart, and you can add your subject pronouns yo. Sorry, I wanted to use black there. Yo, tú, él, ella, usted, and so on. I'm not going to do that because I feel like it's a little bit redundant at this point, but if that's what helps you for conjugating, please make sure that when you're practicing that you do that. All right, so again, just like with the AR verbs, you're going to drop the ending, and you're going to have the stem. All right, com. All right, for the endings for ER verbs and IR verbs, they're pretty much the same. You have these endings where it's o, es, e, and then nosotros for ER verb is hemos, vosotros form is es, and en. So these are the endings, and what I can do is I can go back now and I can add the stem in. It's comes. Él come. Nosotros comemos. Vosotros coméis. Y ellos comen. I'm going to fix the nosotros form because that looks very far apart and it looks funny. So it would be comemos. All right, so I eat, you eat, he eats. We eat, you all eat, they eat, or you all eat. All right, so this is how you would conjugate this particular verb. And any of the other ER verbs would follow this pattern. You just drop the ending, add the stem. All right, so for vivir, in the yo form, right, you have vi, wo. The tu form, vi, ves, vi, ve, nosotros. And this is where it's a little bit different. It would be vivimos, vosotros, vivís. And I just realized I put an M there. Apologize. That would actually be a V. Vivimos. And ellos viven. All right. So, guys, this is how you conjugate these verbs. They're pretty simple, and hopefully this is just a refresher for you, and you are recalling that information that you learned from Spanish 1. If you have any other questions about how to conjugate regular AR, IR, and ER verbs, please feel free to message myself or your instructor for your course, and I'm sure that we can help you clarify any misunderstandings or any questions that you might have. I hope this video helps, and hasta pronto.